Thank you, Bernie.
You're welcome.
Earlier today, I showed everybody here, I believe, a picture of myself, my brother, in an era of bygone years. I'll take you back to this. I'm going to Tarantini this talk and bring you to 2001, February 9th, my dad's 78th birthday. I called this Fire and Ice because my brothers, my sisters, nieces, nephews, my sons converged in St. Paul, Minnesota, went to the Scott Fitzgerald Theater to watch what I thought was one of my favorite radio shows of all time, the Prairie Home Companion Show with Garrison Keillor. Walking into that lobby of the theater, you have the opportunity to fill out a card which he might read. Of course, he gets thousands of these during the week, hoping that their card will get read on the air. Plus the 2,000 people come into the theater hope they get their card read on the air. He only reads 3 or 4 out of thousands. I knew as I was writing that he would read mine because I'd been listening to him for 30 years by this time. And I knew the genre of the place. The most exciting I had been in the theater before that time was back in 1974 in my honeymoon in Moscow, Russia. I was to see the Bolshoi Ballet. In the theater, someone came and tugged on my shirt and wanted to hand me a letter to get out of the country. That was a rush to feel that. Well, writing this piece of paper in this theater was as rush to me as well. My brothers, my sisters, their children, my children were all there. We decided we'd go there and have a weekend of ice fishing and the Prairie Home Companion Show. Prairie Home Companion Show is about a fictitious town, Lake Wabigon, Minnesota, where all the women are strong, the men are good looking, and all the children are above average. It's brought to you by fictitious advertisers like Jack's Tap, Old Tracks Lead the Jacks, and Ralph's Pretty Good Grocery Store. If Ralph ain't got it, you can probably do without it. It's a homespun 2-hour show on every Saturday. I'd been listening to this thing for 30 years by the time I went there. It was a thrill. My sister belongs to the volunteer radio station that's broadcast in Rochester, so she had an in on the tickets, and so we all had great seats. And it was in this auspicious occasion where we went there to do ice fishing and see the Prairie Home Companion Show. I confess something I had been carrying around for 46 years. Something that happened during the era of when I was this child right here. It happened within months of this picture right here. And for you folks looking at home, I'm going to show you what that looks like. It was an era when it was similar to the Prairie Home Companion Show. He talks about such things as this in his News from Lake Wabigon every year. Well, he read my little index card. But I'm going to take you back to this location where I was when I was 3 years old. I was born and raised in the house my great-grandfather built in 1874. It was the third house built in Clay County, Minnesota, just outside of Fargo, North Dakota. I was the 4th generation to live in this house. Experienced the barn, the outhouses, the chicken coop, the pig pen, the turkey fencing. This was 4 generations growing up in the same house that my father, my grandmother, and her parents lived in. 1874, we got the original bill of lading of the house. Total cost, $154 for the materials to build the house. Most recent house I built here, the customized handle to open the pantry door cost more. Imagine. So this place, you know, is part of my life. It's ingrained in my life. So what happened back then when I was this young? I was 4 years old. My brother was off to school. And I'm not an arsonist, but I was playing with matches. And something happened. I swear I put it out. But later that day, after I'd listened to the cartoons on the radio, I don't know if you remember the days when there was no TV. We listened to cartoons on the radio, and we had shows like Fibber McGee and Molly, and Ted Mack Original Amateur Hour, and Arthur Godfrey. It was an amazing time when you could listen to the radio, and the theater of the mind is what was real intriguing. Well, that day that I had been playing with matches, I had had lunch. We listened to my favorite cartoon after lunch, and then it was nap time. And I was awoken from that nap with my mother at the bottom of the steps yelling, "Fire." Unfortunately, what had happened is the year's crop, which was in the granary, got burned down. I walked out the door to a most amazing fire, and it wasn't until this show, February 9th, 2001, I confessed to everyone on that card, which he read. And the card, all it said was, "Happy 78th birthday, Dad. Sorry I burned down the granary 46 years ago. Lovely." And that's where I confessed to my dad, who was sitting listening at home while all the rest of his kids and grandkids were at the theater. First thing my brother did after the show was get on a cell phone and call Dad and say, "Hey, did you listen to, hey, I've been carrying this thing around for 46 years. Give me a break." So a lot of times people ask me, "Well, what did your dad say after that?" Unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to speak to my dad again after that, so I don't know what he thought. But it was a dramatic thing in my life to get that off my chest, and it was a wonderful experience to have grown up in that farm. And we went ice fishing after that. So that's my story of fire and ice. Mr. Tabletop, Mr. Toastmaster.